Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to another episode of Chemical Guys Detail Garage. In today's video, I want to show you guys how to go ahead and properly clean your glossy painted or powder coated wheels without scratching or installing any swirls. So today we're focusing on this wheel. As you guys can see, it does have a glossy painted texture. So we want to go ahead and clean this properly because as you can imagine, this does mimic the same kind of, paint type that the paint has itself. So you want to make sure that whenever you clean a wheel such as these, you want to be extra careful with the products that you choose. So what I mean by that is you don't want to use a super concentrated degreaser because, over time, those can potentially dry out the finish of the wheel and make it look nasty and faded. So make sure to use the proper products. Today we're going to be using Diablo Wheel Gel and an assortment of some of our brushes. Now, Diablo Wheel Gel, it's a gel-based cleaner that's going to go ahead and uplift any kind of dirt, grime, and brake dust from the surface of your wheel without scratching it or swirling it. So the reason why this is so great is because it's a gel. So like I said, it's going to go ahead and pick up that grime so that whenever you go with a towel, a brush, or anything that you're going to use to, clean the wheel, it's not going to go ahead and pretty much cause a rough abrasion effect towards the surface, which, as you guys know, can lead to marring, scratching, or swirling. So this product works out great because you get that lubrication and that emulsification aspect so that you don't grind that brake dust and any abrasive particles that are on your wheel back onto the finish of it and thus harming it. I also have Diablo right here already diluted in one of our Ducky foam sprayers. Now the reason I love using this sprayer is because you can go ahead and dilute your product onto here and you can actually go ahead and shoot this in a foamy manner. So whenever you shoot your product from this sprayer tip specifically, it has a mesh filter at the end, which is going to go ahead and allow that gel-based product to foam up with that sprayer action when it hits that mesh filter. So it's going to go ahead and activate your cleaner by already spraying it in a foamy manner so that you don't have to agitate it with the brush and get that foam and suds going. So the sprayer does it all for you, no work needed. All you got to do is just push the trigger and you're good to go. And the last product that I have right here is going to be All Clean. Now, All Clean is an all-purpose cleaner / degreaser. So this product, it's citrus-based, it's hyper-concentrated, so you can go ahead and dilute it to your specific liking. As you guys can see on these tires, they're very, very brown. The tires haven't looked like they've been cleaned in a while, so they probably have a lot of grime, dirt, and previous dressings that are go ahead and baked on there. So we're gonna go ahead and use the power of All Clean and the citrus extracts that it contains to go ahead and break down that embedded grime so that we have an easier time to just go ahead and scrub it right off, rinse it off, and then that's going to go ahead and allow us to have a more higher shine finish when we apply a dressing and for that dressing to last much longer. Before I start, I'm going to go ahead and prepare my buckets. Now I am using 2 buckets here and I'm going to go ahead and dedicate one for my wheel cleaning bucket. So what I like to do is on top of having the Diablo in a sprayer form, I also like having it in a bucket just to go ahead and lubricate my brushes as I go back and forth. So I'm going to go ahead and put about 1 ounce in there and that's it. So I'm going to go ahead and grab our water hose. We're going to go ahead and activate our suds of Diablo Wheel Gel in our bucket, and then we're going to go ahead and give the wheel a light rinse just to knock off any loose dirt and debris. All right, so now that we've rinsed off the loose debris from the wheel, it's time to start cleaning. What I'm going to go ahead and do first is grab my brushes, and I'm going to go ahead and throw those into my bucket with the Diablo Wheel Gel. And I'm just going to go ahead and let that marinate, just go ahead and grab that lubrication and that gel so that it coats the fibers of all my brushes. I do have another bucket over here that I was using as my stand for my brushes. Now this bucket over here, it's simply a rinse bucket. So whenever you're working with filthy wheels such as these right here, you want to make sure you get just enough filtration as well, just like as you would your paint when you're washing it. So we do have 2 dirt traps in both of these buckets, and that's going to go ahead and filter off any kind of abrasive particles from my brushes. So just like you would on your paint with your wash mitt and your dirt trap, that's going to go ahead and do the same for your brushes whenever you clean your wheels. So now that those brushes are in there, I'm going to go ahead and grab my Diablo Wheel Gel that's already in our Ducky foam spray bottle, so I can show you guys that foaming effect when I go ahead and spray onto the tires and the wheel. I'm going to go ahead and spray onto the entire surface of the wheel and get it coated so we get that lubrication and cleaning power going on. So check it out. It's already foaming it up. I don't even need a brush to activate the cleaner. It's doing it for me just by using the sprayer bottle. And you can also get the tires as well. And this works out great to, like I said, kind of pre-clean the surface before you go ahead and do like the contact cleaning with your brushes. And I'm also going to go ahead and get the barrel just because these wheels are pretty filthy. So I want to make sure that I get the best cleaning and emulsification properties so that I don't scratch the finish of these wheels. So now that I'm done with that, I'm going to hang that there, keep these to the side. And then the first brush that I'm gonna go ahead and grab is my little red rocket. Now, I love using this brush to go ahead and clean the barrel of the wheel, just because this is gonna go ahead and get deep into the surface of the wheel and into that barrel so that we get all that grime that's in there. You know, don't be shy. Make sure to get deep into your wheels. You know, you don't wanna clean the surface of a wheel and then dry it and, you know, it looks great. And then you look towards the inner part of the wheel and it looks all grimy. There's nothing worse than having a clean surface of a wheel with a grimy barrel. So make sure you get deep in there to go ahead and get that deep clean. As always, I'm working from the middle and working my way down and around, just so that I don't get that same grime from the bottom and bring it up to the top. So I'm gonna go ahead and pretty much go all the way around. I like going from left down, and then I go from the top and work my way to the right down. And this brush is great because you can always bend it to your liking, and it stays nice and sturdy so that you don't have to go ahead and, you know, cause any kind of aggressive movements. If I grab my brush here, you can go ahead and bend it around, and you can see right there, you can go ahead and get into like the brake calipers and any kind of areas or intricate areas around the vehicle. So I'm gonna go ahead and straighten that up. And as you guys can see, the foam on this brush, it's already brown. You see all that brake dust and grime that's accumulated on there. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do now is I'm gonna go to my rinse bucket here. Now remember, this rinse bucket only has water. So I'm just gonna go ahead and stick it in there and just massage the bristles of the brush so I get all that dirt off of the brush, so that I don't go back with the same dirt and brake dust that I'm knocking off and scratching up the finish of my wheel. So check it out. The brush looks like brand new again. Doesn't even look dirty anymore. So we're gonna go ahead and go back to our soap bucket, and then we're gonna go ahead and continue with the left side of the wheel and work our way all the way around and do the entire barrel. All right guys, so there you have it. I don't know if you guys saw, but I did curve the brush towards the end of the video so that you guys can see how I got behind the spokes as well, just to make sure that we get that full deep clean. So now that I'm done with this brush, I'm gonna go ahead and set it to the side. And I'm gonna go ahead and proceed with the next brush, which is going to be my flag tip brush. Now the flag tip brush is great because it's super soft and it has that flag tip texture. So it's gonna go ahead and brush off all the grime and brake dust from the surface of the wheel safely and effectively without a scratch in the finish. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab the brush, and then I'm gonna, same thing, work my way around from top to bottom. And this right here has a nice plastic handle, so even if it butts head with the finish of the wheel, it won't scratch it up. It's not hard, it's not gonna, you know, dent it or anything like that. So it works out great whenever you're cleaning sensitive finishes, especially on these wheels. As always, whenever you're working your brush, you can always go ahead and come back to your rinse bucket just to make sure that you get all that loose grime off the brush. And then you can always proceed with spraying some more product if you feel like your product's kind of running off. And you can also spray your brush as well for added lubrication. You can get that deep clean. You know, I'm not worried about not being able to get into these more intricate areas, just because my next brush, which is the boar's hairs brush, that one's gonna do a great job at getting into those places that I can't reach with this brush right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish this up, get the emblem, and then we're gonna go ahead and set that down to the side. And then this brush right here is our boar's hair detailing brush. Now this brush I love a lot because it allows me to get into all these intricate areas on those wheels very effectively without kind of, you know, using a towel or like a wash mitt to get in there and kind of jacking up my hands. So I'm gonna go ahead and spray my brush with just a little bit more cleaner, get that foaming action going on. And you can reach the harder to reach areas that the other brush, the flag tip brush, couldn't necessarily reach. And any kind of, you know, lug nut areas, works out great to go ahead and get deep in there so that you get all that grime and filth from out of there as well. And your emblem here, as you guys can see, you have a lot of intricate, tight areas that, you know, probably contains a lot of brake dust. You want to make sure you get that deep clean. And also your valve stem over here, you want to make sure you clean that up so that, you know, you don't have a clean wheel and a dirty brown valve stem. So now that we're done with the intricate areas, it's time to move on to the actual tire itself. Now, Diablo Wheel Gel works out great for the tires if the tires are relatively clean. So if you're doing a maintenance wash, it works out great, and you can actually use a stiff bristle brush to go ahead and agitate the grime. But when you're working on a tire that has not been addressed in months or maybe even years, you do want to use a stronger cleaner, and that's why I'm using the All Clean. I'm going to start spraying All Clean onto the surface of the tire so that it can start breaking down all that grime, that grease, and all that brake dust that's baked on there. So now that I've sprayed my All Clean onto my tire, you guys can see right away that it starts breaking down the grease, and you'll see the All Clean actually start turning brown. Now the product is like a nice bright neon green, and towards the center of the tire right here, you'll see a nice brown texture. That's all the grease that is breaking down. So to go ahead and expedite the process, we're gonna grab our nifty brush. Now, typically we recommend using this brush for fabrics and upholsteries, but when you're working on a small intricate tire such as this one, it works out great as well to go and scrub off any kind of grime. So I'm gonna go and spray the surface of my brush, and then I'm gonna go to town scrubbing the tires. And I want you guys to pay attention of how brown this foam turns when I start scrubbing it with my brush. As you guys can see, it looks very nasty, it looks very filthy. Now, one would imagine where all this brown stuff is coming from. That's all from your tire. And for those of you who ask, you know, how do I make my tire shine and last longer? Well, this is the way. You want to make sure you scrub your tires and make sure you get all that grease, grime, and all that residue from off the tires, so that whenever you apply your dressing, you apply it to a bare surface so that there's nothing on there that's going to interfere with the application and the bond. So check that out. It looks like, you know, this car just went muddy. That's how bad this grease that's built up on this tire is. So just make sure to give it a deep scrub. If you have to, you know, spend a little bit more time just to make sure and ensure that you get the grease and grime from out of the texture of the tires and the grooves of the tires. All right. So now that I'm done scrubbing the tire, it's time for the moment of truth. We're gonna go ahead and rinse off the tire to knock off any excess of the cleaner, the grime, the brake dust that's loosely on there, so that we can rinse it off and then dry it and see our results. Check it out, guys. The tire looks like brand new again. So as you guys can see, the filth is gone. The brake dust, the layers of neglect that were on there, they're removed, and that was just using a few simple brushes and some great cleaners. So like I said, Diablo Wheel Gel, that worked out great to clean the surface of the tire. As you guys can see, it has that nice glossy black look again. It doesn't have that brown, nasty kind of faded look. So Diablo Wheel Gel works out great for any kind of painted, powder coated, practically any glossy finish to go ahead and safely clean it without scratching it. And as you guys saw, All Clean as well, it held up its own. It knocked off all that layers of grease, grime, and brake dust and residue that was sitting on that tires that was giving it that nasty brown look. So now I'm gonna go ahead and continue with the rest of the wheels. As you guys saw, I didn't use that much product at all, and my buckets are still full of product and still full of water, so I can get many uses from using these buckets of water and soap to go ahead and clean the rest of the wheels and even other wheels as well. If you guys like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you've learned something new today, make sure to comment down below. And as always, if you guys have any questions, make sure to leave them in the comment section so we can answer those for you and or make a video. My name is Joey. This is Chemical Guys Detail Garage. We'll see you guys next time.